the bank that will dominate the world of football. Surely you already know that soccer is a business. It moves billions of dollars every year. This makes hundreds of investors see this industry as very profitable, which has generated an inflationary bubble in the players in recent years. Thousands of companies directly and indirectly finance the most prestigious competitions worldwide. Some are sports and others have absolutely nothing to do with football. But the case that I am going to talk to you about is a financial entity that not only seeks a monopoly in the United States but also in football. That's right, I'm talking to you about JP Morgan, and stay with this video because I will tell you how the banking system works and how monetary policy can generate economic expansion or recession. This is Football Economy, a false channel for sports intellectuals. What is JP Morgan? Well, JP Morgan is one of the most recognized and influential banks worldwide, where it offers a wide range of financial services, including investment banking, asset management, commercial and consumer banking, treasury and custody services, among others. This bank has a lot of power. Several sources even position it as number one worldwide. With a market capitalization of $414.81 billion. JP Morgan is a bank that also allocates its investments to soccer in recent times. You have surely heard the topic of the Super League, which was proposed by a group of elite soccer clubs in Europe that sought to create a separate and higher-level tournament. Prestiged in the UEFA Champions League, and the person in charge of providing advice and financing for this tournament to take place, was JP Morgan, which was willing to offer a loan of €3,983 million, where the clubs agreed to return close to $6.1 billion over a period of 23 years, that is, $264 million annually including interest. Obviously, a tournament like this with the best clubs on the continent was going to have greater benefits for the teams, since it would attract juicy television and sponsorship contracts. Only after announcing the creation of the Super League, the shares of Manchester United and Juventus increased by 9% and 19% respectively. And UEFA feared that in the long term the UEFA Champions League would lose interest and prestige, so with the help of FIFA they opposed this project and it only ended in an idea. But where does JP Morgan get money from? Good understanding what the functions of the bank are. Now I'll explain to you how I became number one in the world. And we have to move to the year 2008. The crisis originated largely due to the real estate bubble in the United States. Home prices rose significantly before crashing. Many subprime mortgages, known as subprime mortgages, were made to borrowers with weak credit histories. These subprime mortgages were packaged into mortgage-backed securities and sold to investors around the world. Credit rating agencies gave AAA ratings to many of these financial products, creating a false sense of security. JP Morgan Chase was not exempt from significant losses, like many other banks and financial institutions. Despite being one of the largest and strongest banks at the time, it faced challenges and difficulties due to the widespread nature of the crisis. Here are some examples of the losses JP Morgan Chase experienced. Losses on investments related to subprime mortgages. JP Morgan Chase had significant investments in mortgage-backed securities, MBS, and other financial products linked to subprime mortgages. As the real estate market collapsed and the values of these assets decreased dramatically, the bank experienced substantial losses on its investment portfolios. Lehman Brothers bankruptcy exposure. The bankruptcy of Lehman Brothers in September 2008 had an impact on the entire financial system. JP Morgan Chase was a major counterparty to Lehman Brothers in its clearing and settlement operations, which resulted in losses associated with Lehman's bankruptcy. Decreased income from trading and capital market-related activities. During the crisis, volatility in financial markets made many trading and capital market activities less profitable. This affected JP Morgan Chase's revenue and profits in these areas. But despite the adversities, JP Morgan quickly knew how to recover. It acquired Bear Stearns in March 2008 at a very low price due to the crisis. This acquisition gave it access to a portfolio of assets and operations that strengthened its position in the market. In September 2008, J.P. Morgan Chase acquired Washington Mutual after this financial institution went bankrupt. This purchase further increased its presence in the banking industry. And this had great benefits. How expansion of the customer base, thanks to which Joe Morgan acquired these banks, it gave it the opportunity to offer a wider range of financial products and services nationally. Risk minimization that allowed J.P. Morgan Chase to take control of these institutions and, to some extent, mitigate some of the risks associated with their problematic assets and operations. This helped stabilize its operations and minimize additional losses. And thanks to this, J.P. Morgan gained global status. Even the government, as part of the response to the crisis, implemented the Troubled Asset Relief Program, TARP, which provided financial aid to troubled financial institutions, including J.P. Morgan Chase. J.P. Morgan received $25 billion. And this entity does not miss the opportunities to have even more prestige, and perhaps it might seem to you that this story would not be repeated, but you are wrong. In 2023, the United States faces an economic recession, thanks to the bankruptcy of banks. Very important, like Silicon Valley Bank, this bank failed because the large technology companies made massive deposits in the bank, either in savings or investment accounts, and the money that was deposited was invested in mortgage bonds and treasury bonds. And if you ask, is that what banks do with your money? The answer is yes. Banks are authorized to lend money to other people or invest it in different financial assets, and this is known as the multiplier effect of the money generated by banks. The problem is that the Federal Reserve increased interest rates. And why does it? Well, it does this mainly to control inflation and get liquidity out of the economy. I explain. When interest rates increase, it becomes more difficult for people and companies to obtain a loan, so it reduces consumption and investment by part of the companies, and since the companies do not obtain financing, the performance of the companies decreases, which also leads to the price of shares falling, and since people find it difficult to request mortgage loans, the price of homes falls. And what about the bonuses? Well, the market value of existing bonds tends to decrease when interest rates rise. This is because newly issued bonds pay higher interest rates, making existing bonds with lower rates less attractive in the secondary market. And since there is a shortage of liquid, people and companies decide to massively withdraw their money from savings accounts. And now you understand the problem. The banks do not have enough money to return it to their clients, so they have to sell all your investments for less money than expected. This is what caused banks to generate losses such as Silicon Valley Bank, First Republic Bank, and Signature Bank. People increasingly lost confidence in those banks, so they withdrew their deposits and then deposited them in banks with more prestige and renown. This is J.P. Morgan. The more clients the bank has, the more money it has to lend and invest. J.P. Morgan presented an offer for the total deposits of the First Republic Bank. This implies that all clients who have money in this bank automatically become depositors of J.P. Morgan, and in April 2023 they obtained benefits from the 52%. And it is going further. Its mission now is to create a monopoly in the world of football. Not only with the failure of the Super League, now it seeks to finance the Serie A of Italy, and would be willing to offer up to 1,000 million euros, this for compete with other funds that also seek to finance calcium and acquire television rights. And many investment funds ask J.P. Morgan for credit to invest in soccer clubs, where obviously J.P. Morgan benefits, and even soccer clubs directly seek financing from J.P. Morgan for their projects. Surely you already know that the Santiago Bernabéu is in the process of remodeling, and you can't guess who finances part of the project. That's J.P. Morgan. Its mission is to have financial control of football in the future, to have more power and recognition at the level world. and the price and performance of shares grow exponentially. This is how JP Morgan is listed on the stock market. And if you want me to teach you how to invest, subscribe, and once we reach 10,000 subscribers I will teach you how to invest for free. In the meantime I will make you the question: do you think this bank will have financial power in football? Leave me in the comments. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you have learned, and if you liked it, give me a like and share.